Hello and welcome to Organic Edible Garden. Today we're going to plant more of our summer crops before it heats up too much. These include things like our cucurbits, our sweet corn and our kumara. We're also going to bandicoot some of our potatoes and harvest our garlic. The secret with all cucurbits is a really rich soil. Most of these guys like pumpkins grow best just out of the compost bin. So I've put some chicken manure, some rock dust and a lot of compost back in this bed. I've given the garden a really good watering, so after I put the paper down, it'll keep the moisture in the soil. And this paper is recycled paper with chopped up newspaper in it. It's great because it only lasts a couple months, and it does rot down and puts carbon back into the soil. I'm going to put some weed mat pins to hold it down, but while we're planting in it, I'm just going to put a few bricks in case the wind comes up. I'm going to go and plant things like rock melons, watermelons and cucumbers, which are fine to go together in this bed. I'm not going to put my pumpkins, which go crazy over summer. They're going to go in their own separate bed. I'm going to plant some Lebanese cucumbers and some gherkins in this bed. The gherkins can still be eaten as cucumbers, but I want to do some pickling this year, so they're going in. We're just going to cut an X in the paper, and it's really easy just to fold them back and plant them into that space. We'll just tuck them under, and after we plant it, we can always fold them back again. The other good part about the newspaper is it keeps the moisture off the plants. And with powdery mildew issues, a problem with our many humid summers, it's always a good thing. I've stopped the holes a little bit further from the end of the garden bed because I don't want the cucumbers or the melons to trail onto the walkway. Now all we have to do is make a hole in the soil and we'll pop the cucumbers in. Remember, when planting something like cucumbers or any plants, give them a really good water first before you take them out the pot. I've left a gap in the middle so the cucumbers and the melons don't intertwine. Remember, all cucurbits have got a really sensitive root system, so when you take them out, be really careful not to disturb the roots. Watermelons are really easy to grow. I've chosen sugar baby watermelons for this because they're nice and small and they fit in the fridge. They're great for one meal. The other thing about watermelons is they come from the Kalahari Desert, and they are actually a desert plant. Their roots will go down about 2 meters to find water. So the secret is, once they're growing, stop watering it. Every time you water their flowers, you destroy them and they don't set. So they're a good leave alone crop. This was our old green manure crop bed which we planted our lupins in. They've now been dug in the soil and have rotted down well. But because we're going to plant pumpkins in this bed, we want it really rich. So also to that I've added some compost, some chicken poo and some rock dust. The varieties I'm going to plant in this bed are buttercups or cabochas because they're my favourite. But they can grow really quickly, up to 1 metre a day. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to put them in the centre of the bed and space them out. Even though it's smaller, this is another buttercup. There's only a week's growth between the two. There seem to be a lot of pumpkins in this one bed, but because the soil is so rich, they can handle it. And hopefully each of these give me about 6 fruits. After I've planted these guys, I'll give them a good watering for a week or 2 until they're well established. And then after that, just like the melons, I'll let them do their own thing and take care of themselves. I'm just going to add some straw around these plants. Not only does the straw keep the moisture in the soil and build up the soil structure, but it also keeps it alive with the bacteria and fungi, and it brings the earthworms closer to the surface. In this case, I've used oat straw, but any straw like pea straw or lucerne straw are just as good. I'm not going to bother smoothing the hay out because the pumpkins are as hardy as old boots. Next, we're going to plant our corn. This is one crop that a lot of people don't grow because they're not successful with it. It does take up a bit more room in the garden, but it's a worthwhile crop. The secret with corn is all about the soil. It's a grass, not a vegetable, and one of the only plants that can take as much manure as you can give it. If you underfeed a corn, you'll get a short stalk and probably only 1 cob on. But with these guys, we've put in so much chicken manure and other types of fertilizers, I'm hoping they grow about 2 metre tall and have at least 3 cobs on each. The other thing with our corn is, I've planted 2 together because I wasn't sure about germination, and you can't separate it. So what we're going to do is we're going to cull one, and it's usually the weakest. In a bed this size, I'm going to put about 18 corn. And it's important to have it in a square bed like this and never plant in rows. And when they grow up, they have male tassels on the top, which release the pollen. This drifts down and pollinates the cobs, which are the female part, and makes them full. Now all we have to do is give it a good water. Next we're going to go and plant our kumara. We put this in the container about a month ago and I've already taken a few slips off it. It's really easy to get the kumara plants out now. You just pull them sideways and just make sure it comes out with some roots. Now if I put this container somewhere warm, I'll get another crop within another week of them. Now all I have to do is be popped into the soil. It's really easy, just throw them in. And you can put them reasonably close together. They will trail slightly. Now the kumara are really hardy, so I'm just going to give them a bit of rock dust to make them strong and give them a good water because they will be rooted. Next we're going to go and check our potatoes. They've done really well this year and I think it's time to see whether we can take the first crop out. By bandicooting, you can put your hand in the ground and feel if there are any sizable potatoes. These are the Cliff's kidneys, and they're already coming to a good size now. So I think I can take a few of the plants out for tonight. Great new season's potatoes. And finally we're going to harvest the garlic. It's now come to a point where they're drying out on the top and they're sized up as bulbs. So all we have to do is give them a quick pull out. Now at this time of year when the weather's warm, we can just lay them on the soil to start drying them out. If you think you're going to get rain over the next couple of days, just put them in a carport or some airy place where they can do the same thing. Once it's dried out a little bit, we're going to put them in bunches and we'll hang them so all the energy goes back into the bulb. We do this because it helps dry them out. And after about 6 weeks or so, then we can chop off the roots and the tops and we can leave them to store.